It seems like Nintendo and other companies generally agree that the GameCube's library of titles is one of the best in history, as games like Baten Kaitos, Super Mario Sunshine, Metroid Prime, and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door have all been given modern re-releases. With that in mind, we're going through the Nintendo GameCube back catalogue to find other games most deserving of a remake, if only to try and fix this bloody market. What the hell, guys, what the hell? Be sure to let us know what games you want to see remade from the GameCube down below. Spin that funky music, egg boy. Sonic Team's forgotten and underappreciated banger, Billy Hatchet and the Giant Egg, has been stuck as part of the GameCube library for 2 decades now, with no hope of a re-release or remake. Considering Sega are clearly not against re-releases and remakes of some of their classic games, particularly if they happen to involve a certain blue hedgehog who goes a bit quicker than everybody else, it definitely wouldn't be outside the realms of possibility for Sega to give everyone's favourite egg roller another chance to shine. It could be exactly what it needs. Set in a world overtaken by darkness thanks to some evil crows, I hate it when crows do that, you control a chicken-themed hero who has to save the world via the power of rolling eggs. Somehow, really, it's not about the premise or setting for Billy Hatcher and that giant egg that makes it so special, but the 3D platforming gameplay that's equal parts innovative and challenging. Unfortunately though, despite Billy appearing in a few crossover racing games, there's been no hint of a Billy Hatcher revival pretty much whatsoever, and we're still praying that a reboot will one day hatch. Hey, listen, look, if Klonoa can get 2 remakes somehow, we will never lose hope. The chances of Eternal Darkness ever being remade or re-released in this day and age are next to none, as all the legalities surrounding the Silicon Knights brand following the lawsuit with Epic Games have effectively nuked any possibility of games like this and Twin Snakes ever returning. It's a Gordian knot, that's my favourite wrestling move, that no one has ever dared to untangle, meaning a genuine whipper like Eternal Darkness has to remain stuck in the GameCube's vaults forever. It would be great if someone could change that, especially when horror remakes tend to be a pretty safe bet critically and commercially. Alone in the Dark was an outlier, yes. Thought it was alright. It was fine. A time-hopping, world-travelling Lovecraftian horror that's been considered among the best games of all time, Eternal Darkness chronicles a millennia-long struggle of ancient cosmic deities trying to wreak havoc on the world. While that doesn't sound so far-fetched, especially if you've been busy rolling loads of eggs, the story is told via main character Alex, as she explores her family estate and reads stories of different people across the world who have encountered these ancient artifacts and beings. What truly set Eternal Darkness apart though was its sanity meter, which would cause hallucinations and other events to occur in-game, including a fake save deletion.
No. I deleted all my saved games. Oh, yes, it got me.
It is masterful trolling and the type of game design you don't see much of anymore, because you probably have to actually manifest Beelzebub beating your hard drive up with a big mallet to shock people these days, so we'd love to see Eternal Darkness make a comeback. Even though, yes, there is a 0% chance of it happening, F-Zero is the next one. Segway. Listen. You know us, you know we want more F-Zero. You know we're going to keep talking about F-Zero until they do new stuff for the series. F-Zero 99 does not count. At that point we will just go away. Away like farts in the rain or wind or whatever. Okay, we promise, but for now, bring on the soundboard. Nintendo seemed to have racing games covered with the Mario Kart series, and ever since Mario Kart 8 introduced anti-gravity racing, it feels like the chances of ever seeing the F-Zero franchise again in any real capacity have dwindled. We're not counting that F-Zero Battle Royale game. Again, it's not real. It's just, it's just the SNES game with online multiplayer. Anyway, we're not asking for Nintendo to simply pull a new F-Zero game out of their keister, as the perfect example of the series already exists in the form of F-Zero GX, even if it is probably the hardest racing game of all time. Like Wipeout and other futuristic racing games that were released in the late 90s and early 2000s, F-Zero GX's blistering speed and hard-to-master drifting mechanics made it a fiendishly difficult game, but one you'd be determined to master. Or at least get semi-decent enough to fluke your way through the brutal story missions. Yeah, it was a racing game with a story mode in 2003. Take that, Need for Speed the Run. A remake of this with new textures and all the F-Zero AX content would be wonderful, but again, it'll probably never happen. I guess Nintendo is allergic to making money.
Give me what I want!
Despite being one of Nintendo's most recognisable mascots, Fox McCloud isn't given many opportunities to step out from the R-Wing and do some of his own hero work. While Fox gets his chance to run and jump around in the Smashing Brothers games, he's only had one proper 3D adventure game in the aptly titled Star Fox Adventures. Sure, there was also Star Fox Assault, but you spent 2/3 of that in either an R-Wing or a Landmaster, and the on-foot stuff was just a standard third-person shooter. Star Fox Adventures, on the other hand, felt like a Legend of Zelda-style adventure game, but in the world of furries. Again, this was a couple of years before Zelda also tackled furries with Twilight Princess, so Star Fox was ahead of the furry curve? The furve? Who did Bittersweet Symphony? Anyway, SFA sees Fox travelling to the appropriately named Dinosaur Planet, a planet filled with warring dino tribes and an ancient spirit that needs to be healed in order to save the whole planet. While Star Fox Adventures, being developed by Rare, might make this a harder remake to pitch, with Rare originally developing the game as Dinosaur Planet for the N64 before Nintendo and Rare were able to work together. Rare, Xbox and Nintendo have been fairly chummy at the minute, so it's not impossible to imagine. Plus, anyone desperate for a traditional Zelda-style adventure after Breath of the Wild will find their needs met here. Of all the characters in the wider Mario-verse, I hate that I use that term because some exec would pitch a warp pipe in their pants upon hearing it, none have ever been given a bigger downgrade than Wario. The portlier cousin to the already pretty portly plumber who plumbs portally, Wario used to be given his own platforming adventures and was a genuine protagonist in his own right, with those Wario Land games now inspiring indies like Pizza Tower, what a banger by the way, and Anton Blast. Nowadays he's merely a minigame purveyor who rides bikes and farts a lot. Perhaps Wario's most underrated game though is Wario World, a 3D platformer brawler that gave Wario his very own premium adventure on the Gamecube. Was it anywhere near as successful as Super Mario Sunshine was? Of course not, but it does let you hit monsters with spinning pile drivers as you go on a quest to defeat an evil black gem and restore Wario's castle to its former glory. If anything, Wario World is like the silly mirror version of Luigi's Mansion, as instead of running around scared holding a Hoover, what a wimp, Wario decides that his hands are rated E for everyone. It's a silly, ridiculous platformer brawler that's unlike anything with Mario as the main character, and the Switch or its successor could do with something unique just like this. One of the most widely beloved and well-remembered RPGs of the Dreamcast, rest in peace you beautiful little square, was Skies of Arcadia, though you wouldn't know it by how little Sega have acknowledged the series at this point. Set in a world of sky pirates and lots of technologically advanced yet somehow still ancient weaponry being used to try and take over the world, you control Vice and the Blue Rogues crew as they try to resist a tyrannical empire, making choices and recruiting new friends along the way. While Skies of Arcadia doesn't do much differently in terms of the JRPG formula, as you're still exploring dungeons, buying new gear in towns, and completing side quests, the story, characters, and world have remained a beloved favourite for many since the game's original release in 2000. That would have been 25 years ago next year. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Of course, Sega would release an enhanced version in 2003 for the Gamecube called Skies of Arcadia Legends, which would include reams of new content, cutscenes, and enemies to defeat. It also reduced the amount of random encounters while buffing the EXP gain, so that's always a win. Skies of Arcadia deserves to make a comeback just because of how legendary and beloved it is as an RPG, and Legends is the definitive version of that classic banger. We love crowbarring in too many things at one time. Please like and subscribe and become a member and buy a t-shirt. Would you buy a t-shirt if we had them? We could maybe do some socks too. And this time around we're talking about 2 Lost Kingdoms games in one entry. 2 titles that would probably be hugely successful in this day and age thanks to some other circumstances. An action RPG where you do none of the fighting, both games let you control heroes who can harness the power of a runestone and a deck of magic cards to summon monsters and other effects into battle. You can even capture monsters and add them to your deck and all of that other good enslavement stuff. The reason why Lost Kingdoms would be successful right now is twofold. Firstly, people love their deck building games. Doesn't matter what it is, all you need to do is dangle the Slay the Spire-esque carrot in front of people and they'll flock in their masses. Hello, it's me. However, the real reason why Lost Kingdoms would be more likely to take off these days is thanks to its developer, From Software. Honestly, it feels like every other week we're finding some long-forgotten FromSoft game. Hey, remember Deracine? Anybody? Anybody Deracine? Anyway, give this a new coat of paint and some quality of life changes, and you might have a new smash hit fantasy RPG series on your hands. And Capcom might actually have a good game on their hands this time around with this next remake. Piano free, 2 letters, 2 numbers. When you really do think about it, Piano 3, which stands for Project Number 3, seems like the perfect game to remake on modern platforms, because the original game on the Nintendo Gamecube is definitely a flawed-ass experience. Critics at the time lambasted Piano 3 for its repetitive gameplay, but the game's director, the acclaimed Shinji Megami, what a king, would take some of its ideas and mechanics and apply them for the platinum title, Vanquish. History remembers Vanquish these days as one of the best third-person shooters out there, so perhaps a remake of Piano 3 would lead to a similar conclusion, maybe, perhaps, possibly. Along with Vanquish, you could make the case that Piano 3's design and aesthetic, particularly with regards to main character Vanessa Z. Schneider, what a name, would also inspire the likes of Bayonetta with her overtly feminine presentation. Translation, she makes the boys feel a bit weird. Meanwhile, the game itself saw Vanessa fighting hordes of robots while wearing Aegis suits, which affected the energy beams and weapons that Vanessa could utilise. It's not a deep game by any stretch of the imagination whatsoever really, but if you've played the most recent Gungrave and you've been wondering where all the weird and silly shooters are, then a remake of Piano 3 would be right up your alley. And hey, do you think Capcom has any assets left knocking about from Dead Phoenix as well? It'd be cool to see that again, but we all know deep down that's never happening. Taking the crown as one of the weirdest games on the Gamecube is no tall order, Doshin the Giant reference unintended, so credit where credit is due to Chibi Robo for being a genuine curio of a title when it first launched in 2005, 2006 here in the West on the Nintendo Gamecube. Of course, by then, the Gamecube was on its way out, and the world was on the precipice of being gripped by Wii fever, so it's not surprising that Chibi Robo didn't quite get the love it deserved when it originally launched. It did get a couple of sequels, sure, but it's been nearly a decade since the last one, and the world doesn't deserve to be deprived of more Chibi Robo. Look how gosh darn cute he is. And also look at our retrospective on the series as a whole when you get the chance. It's a pretty fun video, go watch it. Give watch. Unlike most games where you play as a robot, you're a 10cm tall little dude designed to help around the house instead of some 8-foot tall killing machine. Basically, you're completing chores as this tiny robot for the Sanderson family in an attempt to win happy points. But while completing chores, you'll discover more about the family's history and attempt to bring this fractured group of people back together. Also, you can hang out with some frogs and the family's pet dog, so it's game of the year every year until the end of time. Maybe the remake could add in some cats, or like a salamander. Salamander. That's more fun to say than it is to buy this next game. Arguably the most original and ridiculous game ever released for the Nintendo Gamecube, Cubivore Survival of the Fittest is exactly what you'd expect from the game's name. You're a cube-based carnivore and you're eating everyone who is weaker than you. There's a little bit more to the game than that, as in order to progress in Cubivore you need to eat other creatures' limbs, which cause you to mutate and unlock additional powers. Collect enough mutations and you'll be able to mate and create a stronger offspring as a result. Lather, rinse and repeat until you've created a Cubivore strong enough to take on the killer Cubivore. Cubivore Survival of the Fittest is clearly a game that was massively ahead of its time, with gameplay mechanics and ideas that have been implemented in games like Spore and Ancestors, but none of those games have taken quite the ridiculous and over-the-top presentation that Cubivore has. If it were released on modern platforms with, I don't know, RTX enabled on the cubes shiny like Minecraft, Cubivore would still be a far cry from anything else currently on the market, particularly in the AAA gaming space. If Nintendo, Atlas Intelligent Systems, or whoever else owns the rights to Cubivore wants to try and remake something entirely bonkers and unlike anything else, Cubivore is a worthy remake selection. If only at least to try and bring this frankly dumbass price down. The GameCube market has been totally ruined by YouTubers. Bloody YouTubers and their struggle to say free instead of free. Idiots. Hate him. Hate him. And that was our video going over some GameCube games that would do with some remakes. What do you think we missed? What doesn't deserve a remake? Should the GameCube be remade? Like, you know, make it the Game Obelisk or Game Skyscraper or Game Blob? Be sure to let us know down in the comments down below. I've been Jimmy for Cultured Vultures, and thank you for watching.